All right, I think we do have a quorum, and I think everyone is in from the waiting room. So I'll kick things off and call to order the Boston Region Metropolitan Planning Organization UPWP Committee meeting. I'll start with the notice of non-discrimination. You are invited to participate in our transportation planning process, regardless of your race, color, national origin, including limited English proficiency, religion, creed, gender, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, age, sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity or expression, veteran status, or background. And you can read the full notice of your rights and protections online at bostonmpo.org/mpo_non_discrimination. This meeting is being recorded. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Zoom products are compliant with exceptions with the following standards: Web Content Accessibility Guidelines 2.1, Level AA standards, and Revised Section 508 standards. If you require any additional accommodations in order to participate fully in the meeting, please contact Lauren McGee via the chat box or at lmagee@ctps.org or at 857-702-3706. Thank you. Virtual meeting guidelines. All participants will join the meeting with muted microphones. Please rename yourself to include your first name, last name, and affiliation. Participants can mute and unmute themselves. To participate in the discussion, please select the raised hand function. Find this by clicking either on the participants button at the bottom of the screen. No window will pop up with a raise hand button at the bottom, or you can use the reactions button in the toolbar. The chair will then call on participants. If you are on the phone, you can use *9 to raise your hand. And if you're having any technical issues, please contact Lauren McGee via the chat box or at lmagee@ctps.org or at 857-702-3706. Okay, we'll start with introductions. Lauren, would you mind reading the roll, please?
Of course. MassDOT.
Chris Clem from MassDOT here.
Okay. City of Newton. Inner Core Committee, City of Somerville.
Good afternoon, Tom Bent, City of Somerville, representing Mayor Ballantyne.
Metro West Regional Collaborative, City of Framingham. Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Julia Wallers here with MAPC.
MBTA Advisory Board.
Hey everyone, Hannah Swilikowski, MBTA Advisory Board.
Regional Transportation Advisory Council.
Leonard Diggins, Artec here.
And Three Rivers Interlocal Council, Town of Norwood.
Hi, Tom O'Rourke from the Town of Norwood, representing Trick.
And City of Boston. And Southwest Advisory Planning Committee, Town of Rentham. Okay, and that's the role, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Lauren. Move on to agenda item 2, public comments. Are there any members of the public that would wish to provide a comment today? If anyone does have any written comments, you can also provide a copy to staff by email at osaccocia@ctps.org if needed. That's Olivia Sakosha's email. Not seeing any hands or anyone in the chat box, so we'll move on to the next item. This is action item, approval of the April 3rd, 2025 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the minutes? Seeing no hands and nothing in the chat, would anyone like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
I can make a
Tom
motion
Bent.
to approve the meeting minutes. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Motion made. Tom, would you like to second?
I'll second that. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Tom. Motion having been made and seconded. Lauren, would you mind calling the roll, please?
Of course. Chris Clem.
Chris Clem, yes.
Tom Bent.
Tom Bent, yes.
Julia Wallers.
Julia Wallers, yeah.
Hannah Swilikowski.
Hannah Swilikowski, yes.
Leonard Diggins.
Diggins, yes.
and Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. All right, up next is action item 4 for the draft FFY 2026 Unified Planning Work Program, and I'll hand it off to Olivia.
Thank you. So today I'll be providing a presentation on the draft FFY 2026 UPWP, which I'm very excited to do. But before I go into my presentation, I first just wanted to thank this committee for your collaboration in developing the UPWP, especially in an overall shortened timeline. We really appreciate how you've worked flexibly with us to provide your insights and input into the MPO's ongoing initiatives and to the discrete studies that we've looked at this year. I know we had a kind of a marathon of UPWP meetings in April, so we appreciate you participating in those and making them really engaging for everyone involved. I also wanted to note that, of course, as you all know, this UPWP cycle was happening in the context of an evolving policy landscape that we often had to react to in kind of the middle of this process. So we appreciate your flexibility with that as we worked through those changes as well. And lastly, I also just wanted to thank Chris for chairing this committee for the first time this year and providing leadership to this committee throughout this process of developing the UPWP. So clearly this is a very collaborative effort, and we appreciate everyone's time and the work that you've all put into this. So if we go on to the next slide, I can start by providing a summary of some of the ways that MPO staff have worked to evolve the UPWP and how the document is developed. So specifically this year, we changed the way we solicited feedback through our annual UPWP surveys that we administered back in February. And this year we asked for feedback a little more broadly in order to gather suggestions that not only for discrete studies, but also feedback and suggestions related to our ongoing program work and initiatives. And in many cases, the proposals that came in could really be considered both. So a lot of work that we did this year internally was to analyze each proposal that came in, determine if it is something that aligns with our MPO goals, and if so, if those ideas could be folded into our program work either in this upcoming fiscal year or in future fiscal years, which we did identify a number of proposals that we could do so that was this kind of shift in attention to our program work was something that we implemented this year, but of course is something that will continue to improve how that looks in future cycles. And we'll continue to provide more or better opportunities for this committee to provide feedback related to our ongoing work in future years as well. So, but regardless, I think it's an important shift that we implemented this year. So I did want to just highlight that here. And also, like we've done in the past, we've continued to rework the narrative of our UPWP. One ways we did that was to include more plain language throughout the document. So just on the first page, you can see the title we've changed slightly to provide a little bit more clarity about the purpose or what the UPWP is. And we've also, throughout the document, tried to articulate a little more clearly the purpose of the UPWP as well, which ultimately the purpose is to continue to advance our region's transportation goals and vision through all of the planning efforts, the studies, the public engagement, the regional coordination, and other things that we detail in the UPWP. So we tried to make an effort this year really to essentially articulate the connection between what we include and detail in the UPWP with our longer term goals as well. And I also just wanted to mention here that we are planning on having a debrief meeting with this committee later in the summer to continue this conversation and to reflect on the development cycle and discuss the ways that the UPWP process can be improved. So I just wanted to note that this won't be the only time we're talking about this process and reflecting on the process. So I'm looking forward to that conversation later in the summer. But if we move on to the next slide, I can provide an overview of some of what's included in the fiscal year 2026 UPWP that we've been developing. The overall funding in this document is $7.7 million, of which $6.3 million is allocated to the Boston Region MPO, and $1.4 million is allocated to the Metropolitan Area Planning Council. And this overall $7.7 million funds the MPO's 13 programs, the various tasks that staff undertake to support the MPO, and our 3C planning work. It also funds our 2 technical assistance programs, 3 discrete studies, and the various work and programs that MAPC conducts as well. So that's what this 7.7 million funds. And in our last, or in the FFY 2025 UPWP, the funding in that document was 7.5 million. So we are relatively level funded this year. Most of our program budgets and work budgets saw only a minimal increase in funding. However, our work was built to be flexible, and we still can and do adjust the direction of our work within the constraints of our budget to ensure that we are still addressing the needs of our region. And on the next slide, I have here the discrete studies, just as a reminder. So like last year, we have allocated $150,000 to discrete studies this year. Each of these are priced at $50,000. And I just wanted to thank this committee again for the input that you provided on all of the study ideas that we considered, and ultimately deciding on the 3 to fund in fiscal year 2026. Which include pedestrian scale lighting guide for communities, representing the experience of limited mobility individuals, and roadway pricing stakeholder analysis. So that's just a very brief overview of what's included in the UPWP. Of course, it goes into a lot more detail, and the draft document is linked on our calendar invite today. But on the next slide, I just wanted to briefly go over what happens next in the timeline for the next few months. So today I will be requesting this committee vote to approve the draft to be presented to the MPO board and released for public comment at our next MPO board meeting, which is June 5th, next Thursday. The public comment period will last from June 6th to June 27th. It's a 21-day public comment period. And during that time, I'll monitor and respond to any comments that we receive. I'll also be holding virtual public office hours twice a week if any member of the public wants to join and ask any questions about the document. And at the end of this period, we will finalize Appendix B of the document, which just compiles all of the comments that we received during the public comment period. This committee will meet again on July 10th to review those comments and to approve the final UPWP. And lastly, at the July 17th board meeting, the committee will request endorsement of the final UPWP from the MPO board. And so with that, I'm happy to turn it back to the chair for a discussion or any questions you all may have. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Olivia. Yeah, appreciate the presentation. And before questions, I just want to echo some of the words you had to say there. Thank the whole committee for their commitment to an engagement throughout this process. And you've clearly demonstrated a lot of valuable perspectives that have helped us shape, of course, the discrete study list, but also the more programmatic task elements as well. So being my first year, this has been an excellent process. Appreciate everyone's patience with me as I sort of navigate my role here. But found this to be very valuable, and the commitment you've all demonstrated to making sure that the Boston region gets the most out of these planning dollars is certainly on display. So with that, I know that Olivia and staff shared a draft of the document last week. Open it up to questions and comments if anyone has any. Len Diggins, go
Well,
ahead.
you just know I'm going to have a comment on it. So first on the positive, I like the goal of using large language models being to do more summarization of the output of the TDM. This is going to get a little bit in the weeds. So it's just a little bit of a suggestion. Is that we try and use those more. I find them really good, in summarizing open ended questions and surveys, and I think it encourages people, or it can encourage people to use more open ended questions. My concern is that we be careful of the models we use and the models we may be asked to use, because some of you may be aware that some people are thinking that the way the models are pre-trained are using data or resources that have what we call a liberal bias. And so you can find yourself in a situation you may be forced to use a model where the input data is not what you want it to be, and that will, of course, what input data, what it's trained on, will then, of course, impact the output that you get. So I just put that out there as something to think about. Not strangely, my concern, with the document, there are two. One that's relatively minor compared to the other one, and that is when looking at the transportation impact mitigation section. It's in section 3, I think, page 361, I think. What we're going to do in 2026 is remarkably less in terms of enumeration compared to 2025 and I know from the old members RTAC with our focus on resilience and sustainability. I can see what's going on there, and it's concerning. But what's much more concerning, and I'm going to take a long shot and ask if we could, I think it's page 3.28. It has to do with the Community Transportation Access Program. And I know from previous meetings, maybe even earlier today, that we are concerned about the funding on it, and I'll tell you the third bullet under CT program support the following federal mandates. That fourth bullet, I don't know if you've read any of it, but it's repugnant. It essentially says that the science that we've used to come to conclusions about clean air and climate are wrong and erroneous, and we know that's not the case. And to be forced to accept something that is clearly false, to me, it's just like morally repugnant. And even though I am going to vote to send this to the committee, because it's just a procedural step, and I don't want to get in the way of that. This will be enough to have me vote against the document if that bullet's in it, unless someone's gonna give me a good reason to back off of that position. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks for all those comments, Len. Certainly appreciate all your feedback there, both the positive and sort of the negative side of things. I don't have the document up in front of me at the moment. I'm pulling it up, but I'll let staff respond to some of those comments. Annette, I see your hand up. Why don't you go ahead?
Sure. I didn't catch what your second comment was, Len, but I do want you to rest assured that we are not reducing the level of effort that we're putting into either of those two programs. I'm not sure why you have that impression. So I can address that if I know exactly what your concern is.
Well, as I said, it's just the enumeration of things that we are planning to do in 26 for the transportation mitigation, impact mitigation. It's just less, and it seems like there is going to be less of a focus on resilience, and things that are related, to climate impacts. And I understand why we would enumerate that less, because of the well, let's just say political climate. So that's my concern there. And I can hear you if you say that my concerns are not warranted. Okay, that's fine. That's all I have to say on that. Did that clear it up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think in some ways, maybe it's the language that we're using is a little bit different, but I don't
Yeah.
think that we're changing what we're doing. So
Okay.
we still are looking at climate change, for example. Yeah.
All right. And I'll take your word for it because I trust you, and as I've
Thank
often
you.
said, and I really mean this to be, it's kind of hard to be argue things the way I am with from the point of view that I have and as strongly as I am without making people uncomfortable. But I definitely do not want to create enemies out of allies, because I know you all are, and so to the extent I may go too far sometimes, I'll apologize in advance, and then when you tell me that I've gone too far, I'll apologize afterwards. But this is nonetheless how I feel, and I'm thinking, and I feel as if I have to vocalize it. So that's that one. And so the second point that I made, which I really feel strongly about, is that fourth bullet point, on the CTA program supports the following federal mandates. I clicked on the fourth one and started reading it. It's like, oh, so I said what I had to say. Earlier, I'm not going to repeat it. I just gave you those two little guttural responses. So that's that. I can say more, but I'll stop now.
No need to apologize, and we hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks, Len, and thanks for your response there, Annette. And Len would certainly encourage, of course, as you continue to read any other formal comments in the form of email and the channels provided here, to really outline any concerns, and then taking advantage of Olivia's office hours as well, so to have a more robust conversation about it. And then to validate your concerns, we had to perform a similar exercise with all the other MPOs across the state. So being fortunate enough to review, have 5 other regions that I liaise for. These concerns are always there as well, with other MPO members expressing concern about the way that language has shifted, but MPO staff reassuring them that a lot of the work, especially the spirit of the work, is going to continue. But it's more so the language as it is required for acceptance in a federally approved document needs to be amenable to their reviewers. So I know I've probably said something along the lines of that last few months, but your concerns are sort of echoed across the Commonwealth, and luckily, you members here and MPO staff has developed a trusting relationship. So to your point, it's good that you trust Annette and others to continue to work on the work that they've been pursuing for the last few years in light of what's going on.
Understood. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else have any questions or comments? Well, we got staff here. Tom Bent, go ahead.
Just a comment. I just wanted to thank you, Chris, Olivia, and Annette, and everyone that's been involved with this. I know it was a difficult one. We had a lot going on in April. But I thought it went very smoothly, and you all did a great job. So thank you very much. It made our job a lot easier. And just for the record, Lynn, I agree with everything you said. So we all just got to figure out how we're going to navigate through all this. But thank you.
Thanks for that comment, Tom, and want to reciprocate those feelings. Been a great learning experience for me, and the more feedback, and you've always been vocal at these meetings. It's great to learn and obviously get to know members better. We'll continue to improve this process year over year in light of any challenges that come up. Anyone else want to ask any questions? Have any comments for staff? I guess I'll share a comment that Olivia and staff were nice enough to share the draft chapters with me. Must have been only a month ago now, but as they were developing them, so was able to. That was a very collaborative process. They certainly responded to all my comments, and the more plain language changes were really welcoming to see. Having this being my 4th or 5th cycle of reviewing UPWPs now, certainly look for those improvements there to help break things down, so that not everybody needs a degree in planning to understand what we're doing and how it's going to improve people's lives, and work towards real life projects to improve communities. So I thought that was very refreshing. I thought staff did a really good job in that aspect. Well, if there are no other questions, I do think we're looking for a motion and a second to recommend that we bring this to the MPO board for their vote. Is that correct? I see nodding heads, so I'll ask for a motion in a second.
So moved.
So moved, Hannah. Do we have a second? Tom Ben.
I will second it.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Hannah. Lauren, could you read the roll, please?
Yes, of course. Chris Club,
Chris Clem Mascot, yes.
Tom Bent,
Tom Bent, yes.
Julia Wallers,
Julia Wallers, yes.
Hannah Switlikowski,
Anna Swilikowski, yes. And thanks for all your work on this.
Leonard Dickens,
Dickens, yes.
and Tom O'Rourke.
Tom O'Rourke, yes.
Okay, and that motion carries.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks everyone, and congratulations, staff, again on all your hard work. Moving on to agenda item 5. Oh, agenda item 4. I'm sorry. Member items. Are there any members of the committee that have items for the body today?
I had
Any-
one quick question
ahead.
for the MPO actually as a whole. I noticed on the calendar there's an MPO meeting scheduled on Juneteenth. Does anyone know if that's happening or not?
It is not. I believe it's supposed to be on June 26th.
Okay.
1 week later.
Yeah. Thanks, Tegan. Staff, please update that as needed.
Thank you.
Great question, Hannah. Thank you. Any other questions or items? All right, then seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 5. Next meeting. So the committee was scheduled to meet next on Thursday, July 10th at 1 p.m. We'll discuss any of the comments received during the public comment period and review the final document before recommending a motion to endorse by the MPO. And we're planning to meet virtually then, and Olivia will distribute a calendar invite shortly before that meeting. So if you're not able to attend, please let us know to make sure that we have a quorum, because that's another important meeting. Any questions or comments on that? All right, we can move to, I think, our last item, which is adjournment. Is there a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, motion made by Tom Bent. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second, I think that was Hannah. I only see 2 people at a time.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Motion having made in second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any nays? Hearing none. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your attendance, participation here. Great job throughout this entire season as well, and big thanks to staff on a job well done. Job's not done yet, but certainly the horizon or the end of the finish line, if you will. So looking forward to the public comment period and the formal release for public comment at the MPO board next week, and we'll see you all there.
Yeah, thanks for all your work on this.
Yeah,
Thanks,
guys.
Chris.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Big document.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.